Hey, I'm Jade Keogh.
And hello from me too, I'm Grace Seeley.
We both play for the Millwall Lionesses and are sponsored by the No One Likes Us talking team.
Why not sponsor one of our teammates just like they do?
To find out how, just email
kwebster@millwallcommunity.org.uk.
I'll say that again.
kwebster@millwallcommunity.org.uk.
In your email, say who you want to sponsor and we'll get back to you with the sponsorship details and what to do next.
This is all you have to do and it will help us to get back to where we belong. Thank you, guys.
Now, enjoy our Millwall fan show from No One Likes Us talking team.
Come on, Mir.
Hi, Bethany Warren here, and you've joined us for the weekly Our Millwall fan show with the Millwall No One Likes Us talking team, which is broadcast every Friday evening. Enjoy!
January is flying, and I hope you've had a great night at the Den with the Millwall captains from the past. But for now, I'm your host, Eamonn Barclay, and I have the No One Likes Us talking team of Bethany Warren, making his debut, Myles Thornton, and Dave Hart with me. How about that?
Not everybody likes them, but they don't care.
Good to see the goalkeeping trio of Long, Bilkowski and Truman all sign new contracts this week. But disappointing to learn that Kevin Nisbet rejected his move to us from Hibs after agreeing terms. As the transfer window closure ends on Tuesday, well, there is more work to be done on that front. Getting back to the captain's evening, Les Briley, Stuart Nethercott, Paul Robinson, Alan Dunn, Tony Craig and Alex Pearce gave a great account of their Millwall stories, with Max McLennan posing the questions. I caught up with Alan Dunn and Les Briley after the event for their thoughts.
Great to talk to you again. It was only 3 weeks ago when we spoke on the radio.
Yeah, I always enjoy coming on and I always enjoy catching up with you. And I was on a New Year one, wasn't I? With
That's
Jeff
right.
Bonnage.
That's it. Old Jeff's here somewhere.
Has he sorted his phone out yet? Or is he...
Yeah.
Oh, there he
is. Look, the man with the phone.
He's got the velvet blazer on again.
He's got the velvet blazer on.
He's got his shoelaces in, which we used to cut up many times, many turns ago.
He thoroughly enjoyed that. But tonight, what a wonderful evening.
Yeah, it's great being back. And I said to someone, when you pull in the car park here, I haven't been here in a while because I just haven't been back. Yeah. But when you pull in the car park in here, suddenly you just get this emotional sort of feel like you're home. That's hard to describe it. Like I pulled in the gates, I pulled up and I stood there and I just looked at it, like the sign at the Den, and it made me sort of well up a little bit. Because I spent 23 years here, and when you ain't been back in here so long and you come back in here, you walk through reception, it all comes back and it is quite an emotional feeling for me. And then I met Robbo, met Tony Craig, met all the staff that still work here, and it's a special place. I love being back, but it does bring up and make you feel like how special this club is, and it is a special club. The ones who have been here for so long. So yeah, great to be back. I'm 40, spent half my life here.
Enjoy it.
I did.
There was some good bits in there, weren't there?
There was.
I thought Danny was brilliant, told it as it is, but then that's the way we like it.
That's right.
We like it the way it is.
That's right. There were some lovely stories about times in Tenerife and old Bruce.
Mate,
that was the enjoyment factor. I could see it in your voice when you said it. But what an evening for the Community Trust.
Yeah, fabulous, yeah. No, it's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. We'll do another one.
Yeah, well, what you need next is a forward one. So you need Cass, Teddy, they'll turn up.
Yeah.
Chopper.
Yeah.
Morrow. But that would be your starter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That would be your starter, but you'd never get...
We'll get Dion Dublin down and perhaps he'll do an house for us. That'd be the one, wouldn't it? Huh?
You've been listening to my match day tour, haven't you? You've been secretly listening in. But but something like that, if you could put something like that together, that would be just that. You could have sold that again.
Again, absolutely.
It just goes to show what a great club this is.
It is. But he wants to get the message out there, our Sean, so I think he will. with the people here tonight?
Done very
It'll
well.
be good.
Yeah, no, done very well.
Thanks, Lev. Lovely to talk
Mate,
to you.
lovely
guys.
to see you.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you. Take care.
See you, mate.
All right.
I'll see you again.
Well, the place was packed to the gunnels, total sellout, and still people asking for tickets after they sold out. In amongst the crowd, and beaming like a Cheshire cat, was friend of the show and Millwall author Barry Stradlin, who got his auction item.
It was a really good night, very informative, and the meeting all the captains in person was really good. Learned a lot of things behind the scenes. The auction was great, really well attended. It was like just a really, really good night. Very informative, probably there for a Millwall fan, you know what I mean? Yeah, I bought Paul Robinson's signed photograph, £120 it was. A lot of money was raised to the community trust, which was a great thing. That's what it was all about last night. It was a great Millwall night.
Thanks, Barry. Take care. It was a win by a single Tom Bradshaw goal against Cardiff's side, who had been stuttering for quite some time and had become famous for draws. The result pushed us up towards the playoff spots, but some fans felt Gary Rowett's decision to change tactics twice over in this game and return to a 5 at the back was negative. Myles, you reported for us on Maritime Radio at the weekend. What was your take on the game?
I think it was a good game. We were unlucky a few times, but our goal was, we were quite lucky as well to get the goal. That they're terrible defending. So yeah, I think it was a decent win.
Okay, I did too. Bethany, I know you were working at the weekend, but what did you think about the result?
Yeah, it was my last weekend ever working. I will no longer be working in retail as of tomorrow, so I can actually get to every game now, which I'm really happy about. But I actively chose to listen to the game while I was on my lunch break, extended it a little bit. I thought it was a really good game. It sounded like Cooper had a really good game, and it's just nice to see some winning form away, and it's put us in a great position in the table. So there's the only way is up, really.
Let's be hopeful, as they say. Dave, what do you make of that comment that come out there about Rowett?
I actually agree with that, because I think when we play 4 at the back, we're far more dangerous. But if we have to grind out a result and switch to 5 at the back, there were times in the game where I saw that we were really backs to the wall stuff. Cooper and Hutchinson were at their best, so it was a well-deserved win in the end.
Good. And I think so too. Right, we'll take a break there and be back with our first guest this evening. But for now, let's listen to Debbie Julians talking about our sponsor, G&M Motors.
Our Millwall Fan Show is sponsored by family business G&M Motors of Gravesend and Meopham in Kent. They are Millwall fans too. They've been Honda dealers for over 50 years. At G&M Motors Gravesend, you can purchase a new Honda. At both Gravesend and Meopham, they have a combined range of over 150 quality used cars and ex-demonstrators to suit all budgets and lifestyles. They also offer a comprehensive range of repair and maintenance services to ensure your vehicle stays reliable, safe, and retains a higher value with trust. G&M Motors, Gravesend and Meopham are dear friends of the Julians family. From Lenny to Debbie, and also our Millwall Fan Show.
I'm your host, Eamonn Barclay, and with me I have the No One Likes Us talking team of Bethany Warren, Myles Thornton and Dave Hart. Many thanks to our sponsors, G&M Motors of Gravesend and Meopham. Our first guest is well remembered as having one Jeff Burnage say, he's the only one who is on the top table that didn't come from Bermondsey. In fact, our guest came from Essex and joined Millwall from Chelmsford City, which was 20 miles away from where he was born in Bishop Stortford. He never scored a single goal for us in his 339 appearances, but he did manage to get an England shirt whilst wearing his gardening gloves in goal. When he left us, he joined Coventry City, where his career had an untimely ending through injury. Let's welcome the man they called Kingy. Hello, Bryan King. How are you?
Good evening, Eamonn. Good evening, panel. Nice to speak to you all.
Good evening, Bryan.
All well? Good evening, Bryan.
Yeah, well, that's it. They're all there and talking to you, so that's a bonus, I suppose.
That's a plus.
Yeah. Before I let the panel chat with you, I'm aware that you are in England and not at your home in Norway.
No, that's correct.
And there's a special reason for this, being the funeral of the late Brian Brown, Millwall fullback, at the same time as you. He was a teammate and also your best man, as you were his. Might you share a few memories that you shared with the mourners at his funeral service on Monday?
Yeah, well, obviously, the family, or Brian's side of the family there, were asked me if I'd say a few words, and I did, and I went along with Steve Brown, who was also played with Brian, and it was a very nice occasion. And the only problem we had, really, that everybody seemed to lose touch with Brian for the last 25, 30 years. I know your radio station was trying to get hold of him, as we all were, but nobody seemed to know where he lived or what he'd done. But it was his passing that brought us together as such, as sad as it is, because I'd have liked to have seen him before he passed away. He was a good player and a very good friend during his time at Millwall.
No, he certainly was a good player, and he made a big difference on the day in doing what he did.
He did indeed, and I believe Brian is the fourth most consecutive appearances, so I understand.
Yeah.
He had somewhere in the region of 138, and that was behind myself. I think I had 178. Alan Dorney had 183 or 4. And my big mate at Millwall, Barry Kitchener, played over 200. That's consecutive games, which seems amazing, especially in today's football market.
It's a different game. I'll pass you over to Myles now, Brian.
Hi, Myles.
Hello, Bryan. Myles here. Sorry for your loss. Millwall were very unlucky during the 60s and 70s to have seen two keepers get called up for England. You, Bryan, and Alex Stepney. Do your paths cross?
Not that often. Obviously, Alex lives up north now, and it was at the time when I joined Millwall. We also had a goalkeeper here called Laurie Leslie, a Scottish international, came from West Ham, and he was very special, Laurie. I must admit, he was a brave goalkeeper, a little bit different to Alec, and really he worked on me quite hard when I came here, Laurie, and eventually I took over from him. So it was, a hard thing for Laurie when it was time for him to move on, and well, as I say, he helped me replace him. In actual fact, I was fortunate because Laurie was the sort of goalkeeper who was always going to get injured because he was so brave. And I was lucky. I joined in July '67, and in September '67, I was playing a League Cup game against Northampton, which was my first game for Millwall, and we won 5-1 and progressed in the League Cup. And the following month, in October, I made my league debut against Blackpool, who, funnily enough, had a wing half playing for him called Gordon Milne, and he signed me when I went to Coventry. So it's swings and roundabouts, so they say. But it was an exciting year, and of course the following year, Brian Brown came to the football club from Chelsea as a youngster. Soon made his mark in the reserves, and eventually in the first team, and played over 200 games, and was part of that Millwall side that had a decent League Cup run. I think we lost in the quarterfinals to Norwich City, and of course, the famous FA Cup winner, Everton, and just missing out on the league in 72. So that was the building of our friendships, really. Yep. Let's have the next question.
Hi, Brian. It's Bethany here. It's lovely to talk to you.
And you.
I listened to the recording at the Millwall Community Trust with Steve Brown, Dennis Burnett, Alan Dorney, yourself, and hosted by our very own Jeff Burnage. What incredible stories that you shared. So, all in all, though, and not mentioning Everton, what is your most prominent memory from that time with those teammates?
Well, obviously, it was that year that we missed out on promotion. We thought we were up, and we weren't. It was an exciting season. We had a good side. There were some very good players in the team, and I was fortunate to be named Player of the Year that year. And it wasn't the fact that I had an exceptionally lot to do. Okay, maybe I won a few points, but as a team, everybody contributed, and we were very, very unlucky not to get promotion that year. And I think we'd have done okay in the first division, to be honest, because we had good players. I believe Stevie Brown remarked on that if we'd have had Keith Weller playing in our side, then I think we would have made it, probably as champions or certainly as runners-up. But at that time, only 2 went up. We finished third, and our disappointment was for all to see.
Evening, Brian. Dave here.
Oh,
I can remember that season very well. All coming down to that last game over at Orient. Anyway, moving on. The games that I remember you playing in were much more entertaining than I think they are nowadays. There was seemed to be more action and a lot less tactics in the games. What's your view about the modern game and the game that you loved and played?
Well, obviously, people say to me, how do you think you do yourself? Well, I think I could do okay, but just remember, I'm 76, so I think I struggle on crosses. But, the shot stopping part of it today, and that seems to be the main part of goalkeeping, because I don't see goalkeepers playing like we did, for example. I know Pat Jennings said to me once, Kingy, we seem to have got a dying habit. And somebody said, and what's that? He said, we used to catch it. And I think we did. We used to come long for crosses. Goalkeepers today let defenders get pushed too deep. If I was playing today, I think the one thing I would enjoy would obviously be what everybody talks about, of course, is the money. Incredible sums of money where when we played, I'd have had to play 6,000 games to earn a week's money like this lot. But one can only say that good luck to them. But I hope they never ever forget that it was the 60s and 70s that paved the way for these riches in the game now. Because when the big match was and Match of the Day was introduced, we were the guys who were playing, and we were the guys who were on television at the time. And through us, I'm sure, the entertainment grew and grew. They say the football is better today than it was when we played, but that's for them to say and us to think about. But I'm not sure. I don't like all the injuries. I'm not happy with the VAR system. The stopping and starting of the game, it gets more like American football than anything. It's a free-flowing game. Football's a simple game. They say the coaches mess it up, but everything seems that much harder. And I know social media plays a big part in it, but I see players last night getting a tap in the face or a tap on the shoulder, and they go down, and it's as though they've been knocked over by a lorry. And a player on Monday night, Milosevic, he looked as though he was going to be out for 6 months. He got up, they helped him off the pitch, and within 5 minutes he's running around again. Now, that incident takes the pace out of the game. It creates a period in the game where the ball's dead, Nobody's moving around. They're all drinking water, or the manager's running around like a lunatic on the line. Those things I don't enjoy watching. I don't enjoy it. And whether it's a form of cheating or trying to get other players sent off or booked, everybody's looking for handballs all the time in the box. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm an old dinosaur and we played it better than they did, but there are certain things in the game that do not please me at all.
No, stuff changes, Brian, and
afraid so.
Somehow, sometimes, it ain't all for the good. Not at all.
I think characters are the big thing in today's game. There didn't seem to be too many of them around.
No.
In our day, there was an abundance of characters. And I mean characters.
Yeah, lots of big leaders as well, I think. No doubt about that. Right, Myles, where are you?
Debbie Julians was due on this show but is unwell, but wanted your thoughts on this question. Tom Wilson, John Gilchrist, Dickie Bloom, Bobby Hunt, Ken Jones, Harry Cripps, Eamonn Dunphy and Billy Neal, whom you played alongside at Millwall, also played alongside Debbie Julians' dad, Len Julians. Who from this group were the standout players in your time at the Den?
Well, to be honest, at that standard they were playing, they were all good players. I mean, they played in all four divisions, most of them, because they got promotion from the fourth, the third, into the second. None of them went forward into the first division, which the team in the 80s did, and they've done well. But I played with Tommy Wilson, accomplished defender, good defender. Kenny Jones was one of the reasons that I joined Millwall. Billy Neal is Mr. Millwall. I mean, if anybody deserves an honour, it's Billy Neal. I mean, anybody who can be with a football club for 60 years and more, Billy has, great servant, unbelievable servant. I see people getting OBEs and MBEs for service to football. But can somebody explain to me somebody who's been with one club for 60 years plus is not giving a service to football?
Yeah.
Can't work that out. But there again, this old Kingy is starting to get grumpy and moany about things. But all of those players that you named were good footballers, good pros, and played a lot of games for the club, played a lot of games for Millwall, and they gave great service. So the last mentioned, Debbie's dad, he was a good player, Len. He was a good player. I mean, brave, centre forward, great movement, could score goals. As people who followed him, you know, Weller, Posse, Alfie Wood, they all fell into that mould. And I certainly enjoyed knowing them and playing with most of them.
It's a shame we haven't got one of them along now, Brian. That'd be handy.
Well, the Lenny Julians and the Keith Weller and the Derek Posse up front. Barry Bridges, of course.
Yeah.
Full England international. I mean, absolute class players for that era. You know, their runs, the work rate, the finishing. Millwall could certainly do with that today. And but there again, they're grinding out results, and he's picking up points. The team's picking up points, and I think there's only about 2 or 3 points from third to about 11th.
Yeah.
So it's a very, very tight situation for the playoff positions, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's where we're at. Bethany.
So I've heard Eamonn go on about a famous game at Everton in the FA Cup, which is 50 years ago now. He said that your saves in the first half were world class and it was an incredible victory. But how do you remember it?
Well, obviously, you know, little Millwall were going to a big club. I think the things that stick in your mind as well, you're going to play on a pitch where all the greats have really played. Eusebio, Pelé, Yashin, you know, they all played in the 66 World Cup at Goodison Park. And we're going up there. We were late arriving, actually, because funny enough, the train got delayed. But But we had about 45 minutes to get changed and get ready. Of course, in those days we never went out on the pitch like they do now. It was match kicked off at 3:00. Bell went. We were out at 5-3. The striking thing was the state of the pitch. I mean, the pitch was terrible, very heavy, very muddy. But Everton were a big club. We went up there, and I'll always remember the first half. I think I had about 10 or 12 saves in the first half, starting from a header from Joe Harper, and then he followed it up and volleyed it, and I managed to get the ball away. And from then on in, it was just like trying to stop the tides, you know. They seemed to be coming from all ways, but we weathered the storm and we had a bit of luck. And the bit of luck was probably that I saved everything that come my way. But as I always say, it's not only me, you know. We were a team, and the defenders worked and just as hard as I did. But I seemed to get all the glory in the first half.
Definitely.
Second half we came out. Of course, there's a big crowd there as well, over 35,000, I think there was. We come out second half again. They had a chance in the second half. They had a free kick, and they scored, but he was clearly offside. Wish we'd had those officials at the Birmingham game, and when we got beat 1-0, and perhaps that would have also been 0-0 instead of 1-0.
Yeah.
But both Harry and Alfie scored great goals. I mean, well-placed free kicks into the box and good runs and good headers. And the result was history for us, and it was a great day. It was a great day, a great trip home. Took us about an hour and a half to get the mud off, I think. But it was a memorable game. Memorable game.
And I could commend, it's well worth looking at on YouTube. One of those specials, when you watch it, and the noise is just out of this world. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll definitely check it out. I'll definitely have a look.
Yeah.
Oh, Brian, it's Dave.
Hello,
it's great to hear you talking about the times when I grew up as a young lad. Well, I say young, I'm only a couple of years younger than you, but it's it's absolutely great to hear you talking and bringing those memories back. But let's go back to the old Den. What made it special for you then, and your teammates then?
I think the old Den, it was an iconic football ground for a start. It wasn't a luxurious ground like they are today, but it was a ground which created an atmosphere which I don't think anybody could explain. To be honest, it was a fantastic atmosphere to play in. It could be a frightening experience. It certainly found out the good players from the bad, because if you were in any shape or form not prepared to give Millwall Football Club and the supporters 100%, you'll be found out quicker than anything. Because if the crowd liked you, they loved you, and if they didn't, you were in trouble. But I played there with over 40,000 people in there, and I just can't explain the atmosphere. I mean, it was unbelievable. The moment you come out on that pitch, and you heard that, of course, then we didn't have No One Likes Us, but it was all that down at the Den and all that they used to play and stuff. But the supporters were so special. I mean, I can't explain it. I played at all the grounds, and obviously, you know, the big grounds when you got Anfield and Old Trafford and these places, good atmospheres. But Millwall was Millwall, and 9 years of my life were. I just can't explain it. I cherish the thought that I played there. I cherish the thought that the supporters enjoyed it when I played there, and I have great respect for them, and it seems that they have great respect for me. Because when I was 70, I was introduced to go out on the pitch, and I'm standing in amazement and I said to my daughter who arranged everything, and it's just that for me to think that I'd been there like for 40 years, that they still remember me. It's so humbling. so humbling. But that was Millwall supporters. This was at the New Den, and I'd never played at the New Den, so for me to experience that as well, but never take away that feeling of playing at the Old Den, and hearing people like Gordon Banks say that, how the hell do you play here every 2 weeks? It frightens you to death. And this is a guy who's played in World Cups and played for England many times. And great experience. If you even as a supporter, it must have been fantastic to stand up on those terraces and see Millwall Football Club play football.
It certainly was, Brian. And if anyone's not read your book yet, I would certainly recommend to read it, because it certainly brought back tons and tons of memories for me, and it's well worth spending the money on it.
It is a great read. There's some great bits and pieces in there. I find it difficult to recall some of it, but it just takes you back into a time and a phase when, well, for me, I was a teenager, and it was magic. And Brian's book does take you there. I think the best bit though is remembering, Brian, is how the fans at the New Den made you feel like you hadn't really gone away, didn't they?
Yeah, as I said, the first time I was presented on the pitch at the New Den was when I was 60 years old, and I was inducted into the Hall of Fame, or the Legends, or whatever it's called, along with a guy called Phil Walker, who unfortunately has passed away as well.
Yeah.
And we were both presented on the centre of the pitch. I think there was about 16,000 people there that day, and the reception I got from walking out onto the pitch to saying hello and thanking the supporters and celebrating my 60th birthday. Well, as I say, I suppose it was their fathers and grandfathers that saw me play, but that reception again will live with me forever, because it's as though I'd never been away, and this is someone who'd never played at the New Den. But they say if you give Millwall supporters 100% and never forget you, and they'll give you 100% back, and that I appreciate.
Yeah, that's true, Brian, and you did that undoubtedly. No way did you do anything less. Anyway, as you may recollect, it is a tradition on the show for us to get our guests to give a score prediction ahead of our next game, which is not this week, but it's the week after, when we entertain Sunderland. They've made an impressive start back in the Championship. How do you think that game will finish?
Well, I saw the game on TV in Norway when they played up there. And to think after 45 minutes, if somebody had said to me that this result's going to be Sunderland 3, Millwall 0, I'd have had a laugh with them. Because Millwall played very well in the first half. They had good chances. Should have buried the game by half-time, to be honest. Came out. I don't know what happened at half-time, but players made mistakes. Players continued to miss chances. We could have been 1 or 2 up even before they scored.
Yeah.
And to think you finished 3-0, I couldn't believe it. Can't see that happening. Can't see that happening this time. I think Millwall are going to nick it. They don't seem to be winning games by big margins, but I fancy us to win either 1-0 or 2-0. That will please me.
And that'll please me as well, Brian. And thanks again for coming on the show. It's been brilliant to talk with you once again. All the best to you and your family, and hopefully we'll hear from you again in a not too distant future. And I'm really looking forward to when you get back down the Den for that 80th birthday as well, and you can get on the pitch. That would be wonderful.
Well, thanks very much, Eamonn, and thanks for letting me come on and speak to your expert panel, as we say.
Yeah.
Nice. I've heard you before, because Eamonn keeps me going in Norway with the shows, and I enjoy listening to you. And enjoy the different things that I learn about Millwall Football Club, be it the ladies' team or the Romans team or the first team and stuff. So thanks again for, I'll say, putting up with it. But, you enjoy yourselves and have a good weekend, and I hope we speak again.
Thank you, Bryan.
Thank you, Bryan.
Thank you, Bethany.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you.
Cheers, Bryan.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.
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 Bye. Well, Bryan King, how bad's that? We'll take a break there and listen to what fantastic fanatics offer both us and Millwall.
Hi, I'm Richard Gordon, and I'd like to invite you to become a Fantastic Fanatic. Fantastic Fanatics is a great way to raise funds for your sports club. Sign up today, find your club, and securely register your everyday debit and credit cards. Every time you spend with our retail partners, they pay a percentage back to your club. It costs you nothing, and you could win cash prizes along the way. Visit fantasticfanatics.com and help your club be the best it can be.
I'm your host, Eamonn Barclay, and with me I have the No One Likes Us talking team of Bethany Warren, Myles Thornton and Dave Hart. If you want to get something in the sales, yes, the sales are still on. They appear to be on everywhere. Before Christmas, after Christmas, they don't stop. Why not spend through the Fantastic Fanatics site and give a bonus to the Millwall Community Trust? I read this week they're also giving you a discount to go to certain gyms. So see what's on offer. It will help the Millwall Community Trust undoubtedly deliver the very many activities that they do across all age groups in our community. Anyway, let's hear from Ellis Barr.
Ellis here. Thank you for watching my videos. Now to hear what the Millwall Lionesses and Romans have been up to, and to hear who is next up for Gary Rowett and the Lions. Come on, Millwall!
Yeah, come on, Millwall. Ellis, please keep us posted with videos on what you're up to. It's great to hear and see from you. Anyhow, we have news from Millwall Romans and Pride, and a Lionesses review and preview from Jeff Burnage. So let's start off with Jeff Burnage.
On Maritime Radio, Millwall Lionesses were hosted by Worthing Women yesterday afternoon, and the Lionesses were looking to get back to winning ways against top of the league Worthing. Jeff Burnage was watching the match.
This is Jeff Burnage reporting on Millwall Lionesses. The Lionesses 4-1 defeat at table toppers Worthing yesterday was their biggest defeat for over 18 months. Manager Jack Wheeler made 4 changes from the side that lost in the Kent Cup semi-final last Sunday to National League Gillingham. He recalled Otisha Charles and Shannon Drew up front, Julia Moulton at right back and Jazz Auguste at left back to the starting lineup after last week's defeat. The opening 20 minutes of this game looked positive for the Lionesses, but a brilliant free kick and an attack down Millwall's left flank gave Worthing a quick 2-0 lead before half-time. Worthing are unbeaten in the league this season and, as a club, have decided to invest in their women's team this season. They look destined for National League football next season by taking the single promotion place available. The second half started with 2 defensive errors beautifully exploited by Worthing, but the recall as substitutes of the excellent Millie Connell at right back, debutant Steph Patchy in midfield, and Maisie Joyce also in midfield helped to get the Lionesses a strong foothold in the game. Shannon Drew scored a beauty to reduce the deficit, but to no avail. And the Lionesses staff and players had a near hour-long inquest in the change rooms after the game. They now face another big game this coming Sunday, this time in the League Cup at Dartford. I'll be reporting on that game next week.
Thanks, Jeff. We'll speak to you soon. Music on the way from Eric Carmen. Also got One Republic.
Yeah, Jeff, who does our reports on Maritime Radio for the Lionesses there. I went to Worthing to watch the game on Sunday, and I must say there were some real key tactics involved in that loss. Worthing come out, they won the toss, and they managed to sight themselves with the sun to their backs, and the sun being so low was directly in our goalkeeper and defender's eyes. And I'm convinced 2 of those goals would never have happened if it wasn't for the sun. But that's the luck of the draw when you're looking at a coin go up in the air and you call the wrong way that it's going to turn. I must admit, when they came on in the second half, they did look a much different team. The sun had dropped by then, so the Worthing side didn't have to put up with it. But it just didn't feel as strong as attacking game that the Lionesses could have produced overall. But I've got to say that the Millwall goal was absolutely cracking. Must have been 35 yards out, and she put a great job of putting it away. Dave, you go down to Salter Road and watch the Lionesses on a frequent basis. Looking ahead, what are your thoughts after the Kent Cup defeat and a Worthington inflicting the Lionesses' biggest defeat in over 18 months?
Well, the Kent Cup defeat, it's always the same against when you play a team from a higher division. When I've been down to Salter Road, you've always seen a great game. The girls really get stuck in. They play some really attractive football, and as you said, they score some really fantastic goals. So you get a little bit spoiled when you see them win so easily, is the only way I can put it. But Worthing, that was a bit of a surprise. I thought it could have been a bit tighter, but as you say, with the conditions, 2 early goals, it's one of those things. But I'm sure that they will bounce back, and they'll get. It's just one of those things. I mean, in any season, no matter where you are, there's a time in that season where you have a little bit of a blip, and these things happen and you're unexpected. But a team that's worth their salt will get back, and they'll get back to winning ways, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, let's hope they get back to winning ways straight away against Dartford at Prince's Park on Sunday. We got news from Millwall Romans and Pride. Let's have a little listen to player chairman Paul Loading talking about what was going on last weekend and what's coming up.
Hi all, it's Paul Loading from the Millwall Romans with a quick update. Sunday saw the return leg of the Romans versus Pride derby. Obviously, previous week, Romans beat Pride 2-0. Pride played really well, really defended very well. This week, Romans' tactic, I think, were to go out there, overplay the ball, knock it around as much as we could, and not get frustrated. Pride set up very, very defensively, and we went into half-time 2-0 up. Half-time, and I think Romans sort of went into the dressing room quite pleased with the performance, 2-0 up. We weren't getting as frustrated this week trying to get through the defence of Pride. But again, Pride, given the credit, defended really well, and the game finished 8-0 to Romans.
Goodness.
Weekend sees Pride on a break, and Romans again at home to Titans 2 Brewers. That's going to be Sunday afternoon, 1:15 kickoff at St Paul's.
That was a good result for the Romans, sitting top of their league. Absolutely incredible against their buddy side, Millwall Pride. Bethany, these 2 LGBTQI plus teams are making quite an impact in challenging homophobia. How do you feel about Millwall leading the way?
I think it's so important that a club like Millwall really leads the way in tackling homophobia. Obviously, I think it's very common knowledge that in football, it can be very difficult for male players to come out. You know, we hear things all the time and rumours and etc. And it's really difficult because there's that part of the internet, I call it football Twitter, that is just awful and say awful things. So it's really important when clubs do, they have the pride armband, they wear the pride laces. So a club like Millwall to do this is just incredible. Rugby have done it, so it's so key, especially football being the biggest sport arguably in the world. It's so important that they get involved, and I think it's amazing that our club is doing it.
That is it. Yeah, even the Marshall Islands are now, I think, the last remaining outpost of no football. And we heard this week that there's a man from England going out there and he's setting up the Marshall Islands Football Association. That's in the middle of the Pacific with a population of 60,000. He's going to set up a league and a national side. And it's amazing what football can do all around the world for many, many things. Thanks, Bethany, for that. Well, there's no match this weekend, so we'll leave the in-depth analysis to next week's panel. And some of you might even be on that panel, so we'll see where we go from there. We'll take a break there and listen to Bethany Warren talking about how to sponsor or donate to the Millwall Community Trust.
The work of the Millwall Community Trust makes a big difference for people in Lewisham, Southwark and North Kent. Times are getting tougher, and to help them make a difference, you can help too, by making a donation. Give a one-off donation or a monthly amount. Your support is crucial in raising vital funds for their work, or by fundraising for them. If you are running, swimming, cycling, cooking, dancing, parachuting or anything else, why not do it for the Millwall Community Trust? Interested? Then either email inquiries@millwallcommunity.org.uk or phone 0207 740 0503. I'll say that again. Email inquiries@millwallcommunity.org.uk or phone 0207 740 0503. Thanks if you can.
I'm your host, Eamonn Barclay, and with me are the No One Likes Us talking team of Bethany Warren, Myles Thornton and Dave Hart. If you can do any of those things that Bethany mentioned, well, it will go a long way to support the Millwall Community Trust in meeting the needs of the community. Our final guest tonight is a Millwall fan, man and boy, and joins us as a fan in the dugout. He inhabits the lower block of the Kitchener stand on match days, even though he lives some distance from the den now. Without no more of ado, let's welcome Steve Warren. Hello, Steve.
Hello all, how are you?
They might answer you in a minute, you never know.
Very good, thank you, Steve. How are you?
There you go, good.
Very well.
Yeah, lovely. I'm a bit sombre this evening, I'm not quite sure why, but... Steve, welcome to our studio. It's not your first time on the show, but your past experience was a while back. Before I pass you over to the panel, can you tell me how you first came to be a Millwall supporter?
It's all down to my dad. Him and his family, they were all born in Deptford and Greenwich, so he passed it on to me, took me to his first game. I reckon it was about 64 around that time. And I seem to remember it was Notts County, but I could be wrong. I know we won by a hatful, and we scored a hatful in the game after, I think he took me. The only player I remember is Alex Stepney, and he was the goalie.
Yeah.
But I never saw us lost for years, and it was a real shock when we actually did lose, because it was during that long home run.
Oh, yeah, the 59 games, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, you saw the majority of that. I saw some of that. It was incredible. And there was certainly some players in the side that had come all the way, as Bryan King had earlier said, had come all the way from the bottom of the Football League, as it was in those days, up that position in the second tier, played all the way through it. So it was good, Anyhow, I'm going to pass you over to Bethany.
So, Daddy, in case anyone didn't know, Steve Warren is my dad. I'm not just calling this man Daddy, he's my dad. So you've seen a few games over the years, but what one is your most memorable and why?
Well, I think there's a few games that go there. I remember the Birmingham game when Derek Posse scored the goal of the season. I remember that goal with Barry Bridges popped the ball over the top, and it was just fabulous. But for me, there are two games, really. They were both away games. First game was back in the early 80s. We were due to be relegated down to what was then the 4th division. And we won 1-0 with a Dave Cusack penalty with 10 men at the time, as I recall, because I think Dean White had been sent off. But for me, it has to be the game away at Hull when we were promoted. And again, another penalty, strangely. And that team, it was just, that game for me was probably best game I'd ever seen. And to come away, I was, I don't know, on cloud nine for a month. Especially after all the years we've been sporting up to then.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, I did think you'd say a game that I was at with you, but it's fine. It's no problem. It's fine. I'm not offended.
God blimey. Over to you, Myles.
Hi Steve, Myles here. Great to talk to you. The team that Rowett has built is having some success this season. Do you think we can make the playoffs or even get promoted?
Yes and yes. I think we can. I think we've seen all sorts of results this season so far, so why not? I've got to be honest, our budget sort of sets our style. So ultimately we've got to be strong at the back. We're not going to score too many at the moment. And on that basis, even if we nick a game late on, it doesn't matter. So yeah, I think we can. And I think we got a reasonable chance. We're quite well placed. And I really believe, and I think others should too. I think it's we get behind them, and the home form is fantastic, and we've now started knocking goals in away. So I think it is all there to do.
Yeah.
Steve here. Just behind you, I my first game down at the Den, I was 9. That was 1958. So I saw all that run where we were unbeaten at home and fantastic times, as we've spoken with Bryan King earlier. Absolutely great times. And you talk about some of the players. I mean, people forget about Barry Bridges. What a player. Yeah. Anyway, if you look at our team today, we've got some talent in our side. But when you look at the squad, are there any players that actually impress you the most?
Well, I've got to say, you look at Fleming and Bradders, they scored 17 between them, but to be fair, they've only scored in, sort of 7 and 4 games between them. So they've scored some hat-tricks and that, both great players. And funny enough, if you think about it, own goals is our 4th top scorer at the minute, which is, quite a surprise. But for me, I think of the young players, Billy just seems to get better and better. He's got some engine on him. And I don't think he's finished yet. I think he'll be better as time goes on. I think Danny Mack had a slow start, but I think he'll just keep improving. But for me, I think if Sean Hutchinson's in form, he'll be the key to our season. I think him and Jake working well together. As I said, our budget sets our style. If we're solid at the back, pinch games, 1-0, whatever, up front, then I think, it gives us, a good chance to go and do something special this year. So for me, I think just watching Hutchinson on Saturday, I mean, he was just everywhere, wasn't he? Yeah. And I just think if he's playing like that, teams are going to find us hard to break down. They're going to find us hard to beat.
Yeah, I think the defence, Cooper, people were moaning about Cooper sorting his feet out, but in the last few games, he's actually played quite well. I mean, dribbling out, going down, getting down the pitch, and it's quite impressive to see him actually have that confidence to get forward. What do you think of that?
I think it's brilliant, and I actually think at the moment we've got no outlet up front, because all the time we're booting the ball in the air, and we've only got Bradders trying to head it. It's not getting us anywhere. So I'd think about playing some of the knockouts from the back, like a free kick, and put Cooper up there and just drop one of the bigger midfielders into his space, maybe Leonard, and just try and use him as a target man, just to give us that something different. Because at the moment we're just knocking the ball, kicking the ball out, and it's just coming straight back because Bradders can't win them all. or that many, to be fair.
No, we haven't got a target man as such that he can play off of, have we?
No, and we're not Fulham. We're not going to play through a packed defence, with sort of one touch passing. So we've got to find a way to get the ball forward, and if that means using one of our centre backs as a target man, why not?
Yeah,
I'd agree. He actually has shown over the years he's been with us that he can go through the pitch. And I remember a game at Charlton where we actually scored doing that.
Yeah.
So he's strange. Sometimes he's really, really good, and then other times those old feet get in the way and not quite help him out so much. But some interesting thoughts here, Steve. As you know, all who are present, including guests, are asked to make a prediction for the next Millwall game, which is at home on Saturday week to the improving Sunderland. How do you think that will finish? And please give us a predicted score.
I think we own one. I think the defence is stabilising now. I'm going to go for 2-0.
Okay.
And I think we can do it. And I think coming down to our ground, I think it'll. I think that it's quite intimidating, and I reckon that I think 2-0. Yeah.
So the den of iniquity will prevail. Yes, I think that's a good possibility. We were talking earlier, and Bryan King said that he just couldn't work out how we lost 3-0 up there, and to me, I would totally agree with him. We just somehow went from being on top to switching off. But we have days like that, I suppose. But anyway, thanks for that, Steve, for joining us this evening. All the best to you and your family. And hopefully we'll hear from you once again down the line. Bye, Steve.
Bye. Thanks for inviting me on.
You're
Cheers,
welcome.
Steve.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Dad.
Oh, here you go. Thanks, Dad, as well, even. That's all right. Okay, Steve, take care.
Cheers.
Right, we'll take a break there and listen to Debbie Julians with Harvey Brown, and they're going to talk about the Lions Food Hub.
Let's hear from Harvey Brown.
Have you heard of the Lions Food Hub? That Millwall Lioness, Kelly Webster, is involved. Don't forget to help the Lions Food Hub if you can. Thank you.
As Harvey said, they need your support. If you can help, and you can make a one-off or a regular monetary donation at Banquet, that is BANKUET, you will find them online. Insert www.banquet.co.uk/Lions Food Hub into your browser. I'll say that again, www.banquet.co.uk/Lions Food Hub. And the Lions Food Hub is all one word. On match days, you can make food and toiletry donations at the Lions Food Hub, which is opposite the 1885 bar at the Coldblow Lane end of the ground. Alternatively, you can also contact the team via the Lions Food Hub Twitter or Facebook sites.
I'm your host, Eamonn Barclay. I have No One Likes Us Talking team of Bethany Warren, Myles Thornton and Dave Hart with me. It's 2 years now since the Lions Food Hub came into being, which is a bittersweet celebration, really. Did we really foresee food hubs becoming a fixture in the 21st century? I didn't. Nonetheless, Kelly and Ellen Webster, all the Hubster team, their sponsors and those that donate are making such a difference in supporting those that are at risk. We're all looking forward to the next game, but in the meantime, here are a few matters of interest for Millwall fans.
On Saturday the 4th of February versus Sunderland, we will see the club hold its annual Memorial Day. The day will see the Lions honour all supporters and players sadly lost in 2022 by way of a minute's applause, plus their name on the big screen. The list of names will also be available to view in Millwall's match pack and on the Lions' official Twitter account at Millwall FC on the day. The date to send names in has passed today. Additionally, the fan-produced Millwall Matchday programme will also have a section remembering those who have passed away in 2022. Don't forget your £1 coins to buy one.
Next Friday, Eamonn returns to host the panel of me and Dave again, and Ted. There will be a couple of guests and a review of the Millwall January transfer window. Additionally, calling all Dockers. Dockers Day will return for the first time since 2019 for our game against Huddersfield Town at the Den on Saturday the 18th of March. Chris Bethell, the organiser, is looking for former Dockers in the London Docks who had a great tradition in following Millwall to come along as guests on the day. If you know someone who was, or if you were a Docker, please contact Chris by email bethes16@hotmail.com. I'll say that again, bethes16@hotmail.com. Or if you are on Facebook, you can contact Chris Bethell by Messenger.
You heard from our sponsored Lionesses, Jay Keogh and Grace Seeley, at the beginning of the show. So why not sponsor a Lioness kit like us to help get them back to where they belong? If you are an organisation, you can get fantastic exposure opportunities for your business, just like Victory Goalkeeper Gloves, Andy Rothery, Impetus Women's Football, Megan, Jay and Lola Baxter, Gianluca Sardi, and as mentioned, ourselves. On top of seeing your name on the club's website, you will be able to enjoy a range of benefits like a signed shirt, meet your sponsored player, 3 invitations to a VIP sponsor day, a free season ticket to all home games, and a presentation photograph. Kit sponsorship is priced at £160 plus VAT. To purchase, get in touch with the Lionesses by emailing Kelly Webster on, this is all lowercase and one word, kwebster@millwallcommunity.org.uk. I'll say that again, all lowercase, kwebster@millwallcommunity.org.uk.
Don't forget you'll be able to listen to the No One Likes Us Talking team bring reports from our games both home and away for both the Lions, from Myles Thornton that you heard from tonight, and the Lionesses from Jeff Burnage, and also updates on Mill community matters from any one of us who are on the No One Likes Us Talking team on Maritime Radio, broadcasting on 96.5 FM. You can also find them online if you're out of range, and you can listen live on the online platform too. Additionally, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, Reddit, Tumblr, where we're getting a great following now, and Twitter, social media sites, and all popular podcast sites. Thanks and good night, Bethany.
Thank you, and good night to you, Eamonn.
Super stuff. Thanks and good night, Myles.
Thank you very much. Good night, Eamonn. Thanks for having me on.
And thanks and good night, Dave.
Cheers, everybody, and thanks, Eamonn.
Finally, let's not forget to keep it safe on the streets out there. Good night, and many thanks for listening to the No One Likes Us Talking team.